Loading. Welcome to Access the Animus.
Hello everyone and welcome to a new video here on Access the Animus. At last we might be finally get some free content for year 2 of Assassin's Creed Valhalla after so much waiting by fans, after a good deal of promises on year 2 itself and not a lot of communication about free updates and fixes and roadmaps in general for a number of months, and that will come in the shape of part 2 for the Mastery Challenge game mode. In the video we're going to share all the news we currently have about the new title for this mode, its potential release date, its potential content and a trophies release for it, while we'll also brush up what Mastery Challenge Part 1 was about both in terms of gameplay and in terms of story. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking it, subscribing to our channel and turning the notifications on so you won't miss any of our future updates. And with that out of the way, let's dive into the news about Part 2 of the Mastery Challenge game mode. For those of you who might not remember, Mastery Challenge is a free game mode introduced in year 1 of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and more specifically with update 1.2.2, which was released on June the 15th, 2021 as part of the Ostara season. Those were the days with some cool teasers written by Loki that led to nothing. Anyway, Mastery Challenge was and is a game mode where players had to go to some specific shrines across England to face different gameplay related challenges oriented towards stealth, combat and archery, sometimes with some very harsh and pitch precise constraints that didn't allow for mistakes, and with a pre-established set of gear, weapons and abilities, and depending on how good the players were and what score they achieved, they would receive a medal and some currency that they would then be able to use at a dedicated store in order to obtain new rewards like weapons, decorations and tattoos. Back then, the mode was unlocked or suggested to be played at a specific power level, that is 221, so we may expect that this is going to be the case in part 2 as well. So we got the news about part 2 of the Mastery Challenge game mode from the PlayStation Network, where a new set of trophies was added yesterday and it is called Mastery Challenge Part 2 The Reckoning. Yes, we got a title for the second part of this game mode. So they added a new set of trophies, but there's actually only one trophy inside of them called Full Master, which apparently requires to once again earn all the gold medals in the new challenges that the players are going to face, so as we could easily imagine, we can expect part 2 here to be similar in structure to part 1, and thus we can likely expect to be back fighting, sneaking and shooting arrows to obtain some medals, currency and in-game rewards. Let's just hope that this time there's going to be a slightly bigger margin for errors in order to get the gold medals, though it is called Mastery Challenge for a reason. So we know that they are coming for sure, but when are the new Mastery Challenges going to be available? Well, we do have an estimate thanks to the PlayStation GameSize Twitter account, which has been consistently sharing the updates that have been added to the PlayStation Network, usually 1 to 2 weeks before they are actually made available. And for Mastery Challenge Part 2, again yesterday, PlayStation GameSize detected what they called Update 1.5.1 for Assassin's Creed Valhalla being added to the PlayStation database. So like I said, tweets like this usually mean that an update is upon us, and thus we can probably expect the update next week. So unless all the timings have changed in the meantime over these 4 months, the notes for patch 1.5.1 will be made available on Monday the 18th, with the update including part 2 of the Mastery Challenge game mode actually being made available on Tuesday, April the 19th at 1 PM CET or 7 AM EDT, which is the timing used for the most recent updates for Valhalla. But what was the story behind the Mastery Challenge mode? Let's try and brush it up so we can have a tiny idea of what to expect when part 2 gets released. The story started with a meteor hitting a hill very close to Ravensthorpe and conveniently revealing the entrance called Freya's Gate to a First Civilization related area. That's where Eivor met Hildiran, the descendant of an Isu/Valkyrie called Hildur, who had been looking for this gate for quite some time. Thus, on the appeal of finding out what was behind the door, Eivor allowed Hildiran to stay in Ravensthorpe and build her own house and training ground. That's where Hildebrand built the first Freya shrine and showed Eivor an amulet, or a piece of Isu technology that created what she called Huggerheim, that is, the realm of the mind, a sort of augmented reality layer placed on the actual environment where the two fought and where Hildebrand, in the fight called Hilder, showed Eivor this new form of training called battle meditation that was very much looking like it was happening only in the user's mind. Hildebrand then told Eivor that other similar Freya shrines were located all across England, that she would need to travel there to complete the challenges and then fill the amulet with energy. So she did that and got back to the Freya's Gate, which she, because of her Odin DNA, along with the amulet, was able to open to allow both herself and Hildebrand inside. Within the shrine, the two found the so-called Odin's Eye, which is a First Civilization artifact that Hildebrand believed to act as a compass towards their next location in their quest to find the so-called, and not better specified, Odin's Vault. And apparently Hildebrand had Eivor take it because presumably she couldn't take it on her own in the first place. Eventually, even if she felt she had been used up until that point, and even if Hildebrand had behaved like a cartoonishly evil villain, Eivor gave her the artifact nonetheless, and that's where the story of part 1 stopped. Hildebrand herself was a mysterious woman, that Eivor at some point even believed to remind her of Valka, and who seemed to know a lot more than she let on, including what was lying inside the First Civilization location and a lot of information about the Isu era. In fact, while she never revealed herself publicly, several documents show that she was a descendant of the Isu Hilder, who was one of the Valkyries, that is a group of personal guards of the Isu Odin, but who at some point defected and then incurred in Odin's wrath, and was then stripped of her title and Valkyrie armor, which may be the final reward of part 2 of the Mastery Challenge game mode, and was then condemned to become human, potentially through the use of the 7th method of salvation or through some other Isu technology. After that, Hilder was also caged in one of the prisons created by Odin that we saw in part 1 of the Tombs of the Fallen activity, but not before she was able to have children and then several more descendants like Hildebrand was in the 9th century CE, who were all able to see glimpses of their Isu ancestors' life and how she was potentially tortured by Odin and maybe Freya. So now that we know that part 2 of the Mastery Challenge game mode will be titled The Reckoning, we can imagine it will pick up the story where we left off, and we'll see whether Hilder's descendant, that is Hildebrand, will be able to exact revenge on Odin's descendant, that is Eivor, while we'll hopefully get to know more about the past of the Isu Hilder, and are very likely going to find this new Valkyrie armor. And on that note, that was it for this video. What are your opinions about these news? Are you happy that some free content for Year 2 of Valhalla is finally coming? And what about part 2 of the Mastery Challenge game mode? Are you interested in playing it and finally completing it, or do you still have bad memories from part 1 and thus are less excited? Let us know in the comments below. Also, at the end of this video, in the recommended videos, we're going to leave you with the links to the story analysis of part 1 of the Mastery Challenge mode and part 2 of the Tombs of the Fallen activity, so you can have an in-depth refresher on all the story involving Eivor, Hildebrand, Odin and Hilder, should you be interested in it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.